Isabel Yepes. I want to tell you about this project that comes from the business idea to the final prototype. I want to tell you about me. I don't come from a designer background. I'm actually an electronics engineer. My background is about networking in the hardware sense of meaning. As a sysadmin, software developer, and I wanted to complement my professional experience with design. So this is what this problem comes from. It's about the business idea of my startup that is based in Colombia. So I wanted to put the whole process to test the UX experience about the problem in this course about this. Where does it come from? I think about the small business that don't have an IT department, and they have to contract services. And they need to find good vendors for those services, but it's not easy to find them. They can search on internet and several things, but there is not always the best solution. Basically, in this moment, this problem is addressed by online search engines. So you can go to Google, you can go to Yellow Pages. There are some pages that are somehow classified, like ODS or Freelancer, but they lack the ability to compare the vendors, to have really then a score that actually communicate with the vendors. So the idea is to create a platform that allows them to do the search, but in a categorized way and with the ability to communicate. How to measure this is basically the same metrics of a search engine, but it has to have engagement, because the idea is not only search and go, it's search and remain in the platform to interact with the vendors. So this hypothesis had to be tested. So I had to get out with it to ask actual people, business owners, CTOs, the people who has the problem and who will offer the services. What do you think about this? Is it really a problem or not? One of the things I found out is one of my hypotheses were false. I suppose it was about the small businesses without IT department, and it was not. It's about companies who have already an IT department but need to contract more often, because small business usually don't need the service maybe once a year. It's not very often. So it's more for the CTOs who needs to contract one vendor and another and change when they have problems. It's more about them, and the companies who actually give the services. So the key features I identified was they want to contact online, they want to have the capability to receive quotes, and they want to put their portfolios in the case of providers and have categorized search. So after that, I started sketching. It was like a return to primary school for me. It was about, okay, let's draw out the idea, how will we go, how will be the interaction with the client and with the provider, because it's a business idea with the sides of the clients and the sides of the vendors. So I received, finally, this is the user flow. I try to make brief, because it's a whole thing. So it's about the client searching for the vendor actually being in the platform, able to show the portfolio. So it's able for the client to find the portfolio, to actually ask for the quote, and after the service is done, they can rate how it was experienced. This is basically a whole platform with huge models, some and shared between the two sides, like the interaction, the subscription, models about only for the providers to create the portfolios and profile, and for the clients, profile and search. And behind all the user administrator and all the track of the interactions and the transactions in the platform. Well, all those things have to return into a wireframing, into actually a website, was my idea. And I started saying, okay, these are the main screens I suppose are needed. So the portfolio, the profile, how to make the quotes, that you administrate and contact the vendor, how to subscribe to the system, all this. And I put it to receive feedback, And unluckily, most of the feedback was negative. People don't understand the platform, don't understand how to go, doesn't see the menus, doesn't see the buttons. It was like, oh, this is not the way it should be. Well, I improved it a little. I do a more coherent color coding, highlighting some buttons, getting some idea, and well, it was good, but not good enough. And in this moment, Beverly gave me a big suggestion is go to the basics, go mobile. And I took a deep breath, and I come back to the basics. Okay, what are the main needs that they want to be solved? They need features, and I went mobile in 1 week. So I picked only one business side for the mobile approach, only the clients searching for the vendors. This is my first approach of how it will look in a mobile platform. It's about how to name things. I understand that words are important. Even you're talking about design, words are very important. If the words is not familiar for the person, maybe it doesn't mean for them. So it's about that too. In that moment of the course, there was an event on a meetup that called UX Speed Dating, where you, in a speed dating process, you are testing with many people. So it was in the perfect moment of the course, it appeared. So it allowed me to improve better the approach of the platform, finally get a design and obtain a prototype that had some animation where I used my Xcode abilities to do that. So this is the actual prototype where you can search for the vendors. You can use pre-configured categories to do it. Then you find the vendors in a list. You can display the list and see the information they have about the services they offer. Once you select one of them, then you can go to the detailed description, so you can know in detail what they offer, and ask for a quote if there is the vendor you need. In this part, the platform will ask you to subscribe. It's free to search and to find them, but if you actually want to ask a quote, you need to subscribe. Then you select the features you want in your plan. It will actually change the price. And once you are subscribed, you can get the platform when you can receive the quotes. And if the vendor is online, he can answer online the questions you have about the quote. That's basically the whole process. Thank you.
Comments, questions from guests?
I'll get one. I really liked the way you identified sort of your strengths and how you could best leverage them throughout the process. I think that's something that I would look for a lot in designers, and especially as you evolve in your career and have more experience doing certain things, like the ability to sort of really know your strengths and own that part of the process and let others sort of own other parts of the process is really good. So I think, you know, what I see here is like, you know, if you can find a way to partner maybe with a visual designer and you can be, you know, responsible for more of the system thinking and information design and business side, you know, that's having that perspective is really good. And the reality is, you know, in the startup world, maybe, you know, it is more common to kind of do it all, but there are lots of sort of user experience type of roles where you don't necessarily have to be really great at every step of the process. And I like how you really thought about that in your process.
Other comments?
Yeah, it was just really nice to see the evolution from where you began and learning that it confused people and changing it and developing it. And I think you actually got to somewhere that's really interesting.
So I think great job. I love to watch the evolution. I think when you went to mobile, there was a radical shift there that was for the better. You could see that it was just a lot simpler. And you stripped away like a lot of the complexity and challenges that you were struggling with. You know, when we were talking about designing, quote, mobile first and why people do mobile first, I think this is like a perfect case study of that, because although this could easily be a desktop website or application, by going mobile, you were able to clarify your own thinking and focus. And now, if you were to ever go back to the desktop, you would have a lot more clarity, and you would go about it in a different way. And it's also, I appreciate the fact that you were willing to take so much feedback and run with it, even when you know, much of it was negative, because I think you are actually addressing a real business problem. It's one that you know for yourself because you've experienced it, and anyone else who's ever been in product and had to evaluate vendors, etc. It's a real concern. So I think that this actually has legs, and it is a complex thing because it depends on what you're trying to buy and how you go about it. And I also just want to say, I think it's so amazing that you came up here just to take this course. So appreciate that dedication, and I hope it's been useful. So.
Thank you.